Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India and China hold special representatives dialogue on the boundary question in Beijing. Netanyahu says Israel will remain on Mount Hermon until another arrangement is found. Russia detains a citizen of Uzbekistan over the killing of its top general. And India's Ravichandran Ashwin retires from international cricket. India and China held the Special Representatives Dialogue on the boundary question in Beijing on Wednesday. Ajit Doval, India's National Security Advisor and Special Representative on the India-China boundary question during the 23rd meeting of the Special Representatives, met with his Chinese counterpart and Minister of Foreign Affairs of China, Wang Yi. Key topics on the agenda included implementation of the 21st October disengagement agreement and restoration of patrolling rights in eastern Ladakh. Both sides are also exploring a long-term resolution of their boundary dispute. US lawmakers brought a bill to curb Chinese impact in the country's fentanyl crisis. US authorities have proposed 3 bills that would put in place measures to set up a special task force to curb narcotics trafficking and bring in new sanctions on Chinese entities not following formal entry channels. One of the bills proposes to hold China's ruling Communist Party accountable for a direct role in the crisis and cut off Chinese companies from the US banking system for arranging illicit synthetic narcotics. The bill is scheduled to be put again after the new government takes charge in January next year. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held a security briefing atop a strategic Syrian mountain inside the UN-patrolled buffer zone on the Golan Heights. Netanyahu said Israeli troops would remain there until another solution is found. He'd ordered Israeli troops to seize the buffer zone after Bashar al-Assad's ouster in Syria.
We are holding the assessment in order to decide on the deployment of the IDF in this important place until another arrangement is found that ensures Israel's security. I was here 53 years ago with my soldiers. The place has not changed. It is the same place, but its importance for the security of Israel has only been underscored in recent years, and especially in recent weeks with the dramatic events that have occurred below us in Syria. We will determine the best arrangements that will ensure our security.
In Syria, the Damascus International Airport reopened on Wednesday. The first flight since the ouster of Bashar al-Assad took off for Aleppo. 43 people, including journalists, were on the flight. At the terminal, the new flag replaced the one linked to Assad's era. Assad fled Syria as a lightning rebel offensive launched on 27th November wrested city after city from his control. His army abandoned the Damascus airport on 8th December, and until Wednesday, no flights had taken off or landed. Russia on Wednesday said it had detained a citizen of Uzbekistan who had confessed to planting and detonating a bomb that killed Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov in Moscow on Tuesday on the instructions of Ukraine's security service. Russia accused Ukraine's allies of approving war crimes by either remaining silent on the killing or expressing support for such attacks. The attack took place a day after Russia's President Vladimir Putin posted of his military's successes in Ukraine.
Investigators of the main investigation directorate of the Investigative Committee of Russia, in cooperation with the FSB and the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Russia, detained a citizen of the Republic of Uzbekistan born in 1995 on suspicion of committing a terrorist act that killed Igor Kirillov and his assistant. The investigative actions are being carried out with the detainee. During interrogation, he explained that he had been recruited by the Ukrainian Special Services. Following their instructions, he arrived in Moscow and received an improvised explosive device. He placed it on an electric scooter, which he parked at the entrance of the apartment building where Kirillov lived.
Russia's foreign ministry said it will raise the issue of the assassination in the United Nations Security Council on 20th December.
The permanent mission of Russia to the UN will raise the issue of the Committed Terrorist Act during the UN Security Council meeting on the supply of Western weapons to Ukraine, requested by Russia on December 20. We are confident that all the organizers and perpetrators of the murder of Igor Kirillov will be found, punished, whoever it may be, wherever they are.
Dimitri Medvedev, the deputy chair of Russia's Security Council, said Ukraine would face imminent revenge for the killing of the general.
Everyone understands what happened and what needs to be done. Despite the fact that the investigation has just begun, our enemies have already rushed to publish information about their involvement. In any case, the investigators must find the killers in Russia. And we must do everything to destroy the patrons who are in Kiev. These patrons are also known. This is the military political leadership of Ukraine. In any case, this is a very sad incident.
The United States denied any role in the assassination. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said the United States was not aware of it in advance and was not involved in it.
I don't have an assessment. It's not something that we were involved in. Obviously, he was a general who was involved in a number of atrocities. He was involved in the use of chemical weapons against Ukrainian military.
But moving on, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has filed a lawsuit against the Des Moines Register newspaper and its former top pollster the day after he stepped up his legal threats against news outlets. The lawsuit seeks unspecified damages and an order barring the newspaper from engaging in ongoing deceptive and misleading acts and practices related to polling. A representative of the newspaper said the company stands by its reporting and believes the lawsuit is without merit. And Trump on Tuesday nominated Herschel Walker as the U.S. ambassador to Bahamas. Walker is a former football star who lost the 2022 race to Democratic U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock in the state of Georgia. Walker was one of Trump's earliest 2022 endorsements and was known for gaffes on policy issues and sometimes confusing musings. The United States established diplomatic relations with Bahamas in 1973. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is fighting for his political survival. He's acknowledged internal strife within his ruling Liberal Party as he's under intense pressure to step down, also from abroad. Adding to his woes, opposition parties from across the political spectrum have intensified demands for his resignation. This renewed push could further embolden detractors within his own party, putting his leadership on an even shakier ground. Akhilesh Suman reports.
For Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Tuesday turned into another tough day as Parliament echoed with sharp accusations from an energized opposition. Lawmakers from across the opposition's political spectrum attacked his administration, blaming him for policy failures and calling for his resignation.
Canada is a serious G7 NATO partner staring down the threat of 25% tariffs. We deserve a strong leader with a new mandate. Why not let Canadians decide by calling a carbon tax election?
Prime Minister has lost the confidence of Canadians, lost the confidence of many of his MPs, acknowledged that he doesn't have a mandate to continue to govern, and call a carbon tax election.
While Trudeau is working hard to keep his party and the government steady, growing dissent within his party adds to his mounting challenges. Sensing the rising political stakes, newly appointed Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc came to the government's defense. He assured Parliament that Prime Minister Trudeau is making determined efforts to address Canada's economic and diplomatic challenges.
Mr. Speaker, the fall economic statement speaks to growth in the Canadian economy. It speaks to supporting Canadians with serious affordability challenges. And Mr. Speaker, we haven't finished supporting Canadians, something the Conservatives aren't interested in doing.
Defending the government further, House Leader Karen Gold reminded the Parliament that the government has already survived a confidence vote last week. She emphasized that the administration's priority is tackling the economic fallout and managing US-Canada relations amid Trump's aggressive trade policies.
Mr. Speaker, this House voted in confidence of this government just last week on multiple occasions. Mr. Speaker, we have important work to do on behalf of Canadians. We have a very important relationship to manage with the United States at a pivotal time.
In response to Trump's aggressive stance on border security and trade, Trudeau announced a 1.3 billion Canadian dollar plan to bolster Canada's border security over the next 6 years to stop illegal immigration into USA. The plan includes deploying drones, surveillance towers, helicopters and hiring more border agents to enhance US-Canada border security, causing huge bearing on Canada's exchequer.
Like most families, sometimes we have fights around the holidays. But of course, like most families, we find our way through it.
Insiders say former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland has resigned after clashing with Trudeau over handling US President-elect Donald Trump's threat of imposing 25% tariffs on Canadian imports. Freeland advocated for tighter fiscal controls, while Trudeau insisted on boosting financial aid for wooing public sentiment, along with strengthening border security. However, questions remain about how both priorities will be funded at a time when Canada's economy is grappling with severe challenges. Akhilesh Suman's report for DD India.
An agreement between Israel and Hamas for putting an end to 14-month-old conflict and release of hostages could be signed in the coming days as talks in Cairo are making progress. The US, joined by mediators from Egypt and Qatar, are making intensive efforts to advance the talks before US President Joe Biden leaves office next month. US spy agency CIA Chief William Burns, a key US negotiator, is set to meet Qatar's Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani in Doha on Wednesday for bridging the remaining gaps between Israel and Hamas. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrived at a Tel Aviv district court on Wednesday for his long-running corruption trial for the second time this week. Netanyahu was ordered to testify 3 times a week regarding a 2019 indictment in 3 cases involving gifts from millionaire friends and for allegedly seeking regulatory favors for media tycoons in return for favorable news coverage. Netanyahu has denied any wrongdoing and has pleaded not guilty. Netanyahu is Israel's first sitting prime minister to be charged with a crime. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Wednesday held a phone conversation with his Israeli counterpart Gideon Sar. Taking to a micro-blogging site X, Minister Jaishankar said, "Appreciate his briefing on the ongoing developments in the region." The minister said the 2 leaders discussed ways to strengthen India-Israel relations and that he looks forward to meeting him in person. Still to come on DD India Live. We tell you all about Tourism Summit 2024 held in New Delhi. An INS Nirdeshak commissioned into the Indian Navy.
मान लो आपके बॉस का मैसेज आए कि इमरजेंसी है, अभी का अभी गिफ्ट कार्ड और वाउचर खरीद के पर्सनल मेल पर भेजो, क्या करोगे? भेज दोगे? बॉस, ये बॉस नहीं, बॉस की तस्वीर लगा के फ्रॉडगिरी करने वाले हैं। मैं बॉस का फेवरेट बनना चाहता हूं, पर मूर्ख नहीं हूं। याद रहे, यूपीआई सेफ है, पर कोई आपको बेवकूफ बनाना चाहे तो कहो मैं मूर्ख नहीं हूं।
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Kuwait on 21st and 22nd December at the invitation of the Emir of Kuwait. It'll be the first such visit to Kuwait by an Indian Prime Minister in 43 years. During the visit, the Prime Minister will hold discussions with the leadership of Kuwait and also interact with the Indian community. India and Kuwait share traditionally close and friendly relations which are rooted in history and have been underpinned by economic ties and strong people-to-people linkages. India is among the top trading partners of Kuwait. The Indian community is the largest expatriate community in Kuwait. The visit will provide an opportunity to further strengthen the multifaceted ties between India and Kuwait. Indian schools in Qatar celebrated the Qatar National Day with vibrant cultural performances and festivities, highlighting the strong bond between the Indian community and Qatar. India's President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended their greetings to Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the government and its people, expressing hope for stronger ties between the two nations. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar also conveyed his wishes to Qatar's Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani, emphasizing the deep historical and cooperative relationship between India and Qatar. The Indian Embassy in Bahrain on Wednesday announced the repatriation of 28 Indian fishermen who were detained in that country. The embassy said the fishermen were initially sentenced to 6 months, but their term was reduced to 3 months. The embassy also thanked the Bahraini authorities for their cooperation. The proceedings in both houses of India's parliament witnessed adjournments as soon as the legislative business began on Wednesday. Amid ruckus by the opposition, the lower house, also known as the Lok Sabha, was adjourned for a few hours within minutes after it resumed the proceedings for the day. The Rajya Sabha, or the upper house, began with matters of importance taken up in the 0 hour. After a short while, the house was adjourned after ruckus by the opposition. Amid the ruckus, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju slammed the Congress party for misusing Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's name for its vote bank. Both houses will reconvene on Thursday.
इस देश में बाबा साहब ने 1951 में कानून मंत्री के पद से इस्तीफा दिया था। 71 साल बाद प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने एक दूसरा बौद्ध को कानून मंत्री बनाया है। आप लोगों को याद नहीं आया? मोदी सत्य बाबा साहब भीमराव अम्बेडकर के बताए हुए रास्ते पे हम लोग चलते हैं, आप लोग नहीं चलते हैं। सर, ये लोग ढोंग कर रहे हैं, मैं कड़ी आपत्ति करता हूँ। बाबा साहब का नाम को वोट बैंक के लिए जो दुरुपयोग कर रहे हैं, इसको मैं निंदा करता हूँ।
Talking to media persons in New Delhi, India's Home Minister Amit Shah said his statement on Baba Sahib Ambedkar in Rajya Sabha was presented in a distorted manner. He requested the media to put his full statement in front of the public. He said BJP can never insult Ambedkar ji and added that whenever his party has been in power, it has always propagated the principles of Baba Sahib Ambedkar.
चिर परिचित अपनी पुरानी नीति पर कांग्रेस आई है और उन्होंने मेरे बयान को तोड़ मरोड़ कर आधा ही दिखाकर जनता के सामने रखना और भ्रांति फैलाने का प्रयास किया है। कृपया मेरा पूरा बयान आप सभी लोग जनता तक पहुंचाइए तो दूध का दूध और पानी का पानी हो जाएगा। मैं उस पार्टी से आता हूं, उस संस्कृति से आता हूं जो स्वप्न में भी बाबा साहब के विचारों का या बाबा साहब के स्वयं का अपमान नहीं कर सकते.
An Indian Navy warship INS Nirdeshak was commissioned at the Naval Dockyard in Visakhapatnam on Wednesday in the presence of the Minister of State for Defence Sanjay Seth. The ship boasts of over 80% indigenous content, reaffirming India's expertise in ship design and construction and the Indian Navy's trust in self-reliance. The 110-meter-long vessel with a displacement of 3,800 tons is powered by 2 diesel engines and is equipped with state-of-the-art hydrographic and oceanographic survey equipment. The Confederation of Indian Industry organized a Tourism Summit 2024 in New Delhi on Wednesday. Can tourism be the game changer for India? Was its theme. The event highlighted the transformative potential of tourism and hospitality industries in driving India's economic growth. Kriti Vadhera reports.
Minister of Tourism Gajendra Singh Shekhawat inaugurated the CII Tourism Summit accompanied by Secretary of Ministry of Labour and Employment Sumitra Davla. A CII EVA report titled Employment Landscape in Tourism and Hospitality Industry was unveiled, emphasizing the sector's contribution to job creation.
मैं जिम्मेदारी के साथ में ये बात कह सकता हूं कि ऐसा समय जब स्टेट्स में इस तरह का एंथुसियाज्म हो और इस तरह से स्टेट्स में एक दूसरे से आगे निकलने की टूरिज्म सेक्टर में एक होड़ मची हो, ऐसा समय मैंने कभी नहीं देखा. हमने सारे देश की बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस एंड बेस्ट पॉलिसीज व्हिच स्टेट्स हैव अडॉप्टेड, उन सबको एक साथ जोड़ करके एक मॉडल पॉलिसी डॉक्यूमेंट बना करके वी हैव शेयर्ड विद ऑल द स्टेट्स.
Policymakers and industry leaders debated visionary ideas to establish India as a sustainable, vibrant, year-round destination. The discussions focused on leveraging India's cultural heritage, innovative policies, and business strategies to reshape the tourism landscape. Director General of Tourism Mugdha Sinha emphasized the need to strengthen inbound tourism to position India as a premier global travel destination. Speaking at the CII Tourism Summit, she highlighted the importance of collaborative efforts between stakeholders to enhance India's appeal for international tourists.
We must have an incredible India approach, and that is that, yes, we've got everything right, and what is not right, we are collaborating to get it right, because we are always work in progress. Let's get as many people, because ultimately footfalls come with a trail of spending here, with a trail of domino effect. So we are here to do everything. India 365 days. We are open shop. I also want you to come and experience the monsoon that you don't have in your country. Please splash in our waters, enjoy that, the manna from the heaven. I also want you to come and experience my winter. If you are celebrating Christmas now and Australia is having summer, I can give you an experience of the Christmas here. So I want to do all those kind of things.
The summit showcased tourism as a game-changing force capable of reshaping India's employment landscape and boosting its global standing in the tourism sector. With the tourism industry at a crucial juncture, initiatives like these underscore the path forward for making India a global tourism hub. Kriti Vadhera's report for DD India.
India's mobile user base has crossed 115 crore as of 31st October. This according to Minister of State for Communications and Rural Development, Dr. Chandrasekhar Pemasani. In a written reply to the Lok Sabha, he said that mobile coverage now extends to over 6.23 lakh of the country's 6.44 lakh villages. The government is expanding telecom connectivity under the Digital India Fund, with projects such as BharatNet aiming to provide broadband access to all Gram Panchayats. The revised BharatNet program, with a budget of 1.39 lakh crore rupees, includes upgrading networks, expanding to 42,000 more Gram Panchayats, and ensuring 10 years of maintenance. Meanwhile, 5G services are now available in 779 of the country's 783 districts, with over 4.6 lakh 5G base transceiver stations installed. 3 people were killed and over 100 injured in a violent clash between 2 groups in Bangladesh over the control of Bishwa Ijtema ground on Wednesday. Authorities have tightened the security by deploying border guard Bangladesh's forces in and around the Ijtema ground to prevent any unfavorable incidents. The injured were rushed to hospital. The clash erupted between the followers of Tablighi Jamaat's Zubair Ahmed and supporters of Saad Kandhalvi of India over occupying the Bishwa Ijtema field. This comes after the Zubair Ahmed faction announced prevention of Saad Kandhalvi's entry into Bangladesh. Tensions between the 2 groups have been brewing ever since the announcement. And now take a look at what else is making news around the world. Researchers in London have unveiled a new AI software that can read the brain scan of a patient. It can help doctors in identifying the timing of a stroke and whether the damage can be reversed. The software aims to provide precise emergency treatment. UK inflation rose to an 8-month high in November. As per the Office for National Statistics, the consumer price index has increased 2.6% annually in November from 2.3% in October. US actor Tom Cruise was honored with the US Navy's highest civilian award in Chertsey, Surrey. He's been awarded for his outstanding contributions to the Navy and the Marine Corps through his work in the 1986 film Top Gun. In sports news, Indian cricketer Ravichandran Ashwin has retired from international cricket following the 3rd test of the Border-Gavaskar series against Australia in Brisbane. Ashwin retires as one of India's all-time greats, leaving behind a legacy of remarkable achievements. An era has come to an end in international cricket, not just Indian cricket. Left-arm spinner Mitchell Santner has been named as New Zealand captain in one-day internationals and T20 cricket on Wednesday. The 32-year-old, who has played 243 internationals, will take charge of the team for the first time in a T20 series against Sri Lanka starting in late December. Kane Williamson stepped down from the white ball captaincy after the T20 World Cup in the United States and the Caribbean earlier this year. Santner said it was an exciting time to lead the short format teams. Brazil and Real Madrid forward Vinicius Jr. was named FIFA Men's Player of the Year in Doha. The Brazilian won the award ahead of Spain's midfielder Rodri and England's Jude Bellingham. Vinicius scored 24 goals in 39 appearances across all competitions to help Real Madrid clinch the La Liga and Champions League trophies, while Spain and Barcelona midfielder Aitana Bonmati bagged the Women's Award for the 2nd year in a row. Bonmati helped his club to a domestic treble wins last season, in which Barcelona also retained the Champions League. Carlo Ancelotti of Real Madrid won the Best Men's Coach award after the Italian led his club to the League and Champions League wins last season. India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has launched an OTT platform called Waves. Waves provides complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you want great content for free, then download Waves now. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.